All right, for the last section, you're gonna be using a new tool called a palette knife. And I have all different types of palette knives. Most of them are these plastic ones. So I'll work with the plastic ones so you guys can see. So we're not gonna be able to get detailed areas, and you're just gonna have to be okay with it. We're also not like scraping it as much as we are kind of spreading it. So it is gonna use the paint a lot thicker. For this color scheme, if I'm just going down the list, so here's our list, right? So the first one I did warm. I actually messed up a lot, so I'm reworking and kind of fixing up those greens. I'm making them orange so that they're warm because I messed up there. All right, my next one was cool. That was that impressionistic one. And then after cool, I'm gonna do the muted or dull colors. I could pick a different one. I could do all complementary colors. So if I'm looking at that bottom section, maybe I do want to do all red and green. Maybe I can do all orange and blue. Oh, maybe I'll do that. But I'm going to go ahead and do the muted dull color so you guys can understand what that one is. So muted colors means you're taking any color and you're mixing it with its complementary. So I can't just use yellow. I have to mix in a tiny bit of purple to dull that saturated yellow. Right now, these are all saturated, pure, intense, bright colors. To dull them, you'd add a little bit of that complementary color. So I wouldn't use green, I would put a little bit of red and use a green, dull the color, get closer to brown, basically. But you can just do a little bit. All right, and I'm doing all that with palette knife. Now, if I wanna mix my colors with a paintbrush in my paint palette, remember you also have the lid. If you guys need extra room to mix, you guys can also use some aluminum foil. You can get some of that if you guys can mix your colors. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with this color that's down here. It looks very cool, like a blue, but again, it's not an intense blue. It's been dulled a little bit, so I'm gonna add a little bit of orange. So to do that, this is kind of hard also. I'm gonna scrape up some blue. Oh, don't drip on there. Put it right down here, and might need to get more paint. Here, let's use my paintbrush to get this blue out. Blue. Okay, that's probably a good amount. So I'm gonna use my brush to mix my colors. And then I wanna dull that blue, right? Because that is not that tone, with a little bit of orange. I'm gonna get yellow, red. Start mixing. You can tell I'm gonna need more yellow. Yellow. So you always want the complementary red. You can see my color starting to change. It's definitely a duller blue, less saturated and intense. Now I probably need to add some white. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So that is no longer a saturated bright blue. This has now been dulled. Now I'm just trying to match this value. More white. Okay. Now, I'm trying to get as much off of my brush as I can by turning it all around. I'm just gonna put that in my water. Now, I'm gonna try to spread this onto my paper like frosting. Let's also tape this so you guys can see it a little better with my non-sticky tape. Okay. Had a lot of that blue on there, didn't it? All right, try to mix that in. Okay, so you pick it up, put it down. So now it's kind of just going back and forth. So you can use the tip of the palette knife to control. But what's nice is you get some really interesting marks. Let's see, it's gonna get a lot darker as it goes into that shadow. And I can add some white. So I'm gonna get that paint off of my palette knife. And I'm gonna get a little bit of white on my palette knife. and just kind of introduce that in there. So again, it's just a different type of mark making. Can't make those marks with a brush. Now I do recommend you gotta make a lot of paint. So we're gonna be using a lot of paint. Can't just make a little bit because then you won't have enough to spread on. Get some white on my paint palette, or sorry, on my palette knife. Put that right into my wet paint. Okay, I'm gonna do that same thing back here before this dries. The whole table surface. Then get some white on my palette knife. Put that right into that wet paint. And guys, I've done this before, so if I'm making it look easy, it's because I've practiced. I don't expect everybody to be able to easily do this. More white on there. Right around the side of that apple. Now, to get this off, I'm just going to use my paper towel. Now I want to get some darks in there. So I can just get some dark blue on my palette knife. Oh wait, I got to add a little bit of a orange into there, don't I? Can't just use that blue, because I'm also trying to do a color scheme. Oof, get that same. So it's dark blue, a little bit of orange. Sorry if you can't see it. Add that right back in there. Oh no, I did the wrong one. Ah! Whew. Freak out. That's my impressionistic section. Oh my gosh. Good thing I had that paper towel there. Okay. I can also, no I can't. Just joking, it's already dry. Okay, well, I got that dark back there. Now I'm gonna start adding that dark here. So again, to get the dark, I'm gonna use dark blue. And then I'm going to use some dark red and some yellow. So I'm doing orange in that dark blue. This is right underneath the apple. Did not make enough. All right, and now I'm going to keep working into the apple part with my palette knife.